Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible Study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL9608@yahoo.com. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a Kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
Good afternoon and welcome. Saturday we did the 57th Mayoral Debate and Violence Summit here in the city of Cleveland. There's a lot that we talked about, but law enforcement has a lot of work to do, and it may have been set back almost 200 years. We remembered the 49th anniversary of the shootout in the city of Cleveland between the police and the black militants that left 3 police officers laying dead in the city streets and 13 wounded from gunshots. We're going to take a step back in the time and hear from the investigator himself, Luis Garcia, a 26-year veteran of the Cleveland Police Force who was responsible for the arrest and prosecution of Ahmaud Adams and 5 other black militants who was involved in that shootout. And we're going to hear the police radio tapes as the incident happened in real life time during that midsummer nightmare in Cleveland, Ohio.
July 23rd, 1968, in a very short period of time, a number of police officers were killed and wounded. Based on police radio broadcasts, police reports, statements, the shootings began at 8:23 p.m. when a suspect fired a shot at police car 961. 1 minute later, at 8:24 p.m., Cleveland tow truck operator William McMillan, while in the middle of the street on Beulah Avenue between Lakeview and East 123rd, was shot multiple times. 3 minutes later, at 8:27 p.m., Patrolman Kenneth Gibbons, while on the sidewalk in front of 12312 Auburndale, was shot multiple times. 2 minutes later, at 8:29 p.m., Patrolman Wolf, while in the front yard of 12312 Auburndale, was shot and killed. 2 minutes later, at 8:31 p.m., Patrolman Chester Sokolsky, who was a passenger traveling in Mobile Patrol 591, which was operating north on East 123rd, was shot multiple times. At the same time of 8:31 p.m., Chester Sokolsky's partner, Patrolman Joseph McManaman, who was driving Mobile Patrol 591 at that time, was grazed by a bullet. 3 minutes later, at 8:34 p.m., Sergeant Sam Levy, who was walking in the driveway between the Lakeview Tavern and 12312 Auburndale, was shot multiple times. At that same moment of 8:34 p.m., Lieutenant Elmer Joseph, who was about 10 feet behind Sergeant Levy and was standing on the sidewalk in front of the Lakeview Tavern, was shot twice. 8 minutes later, at 8:42 p.m., Lieutenant Leroy Jones was walking west on the sidewalk in front of 12314 Auburndale when he was shot multiple times and killed. 2 minutes later, at 8:44 p.m., Patrolman Thomas Smith, who was in the street in front of the Lakeview Tavern and was attempting to rescue the wounded Sergeant Levy, was shot multiple times. 3 minutes later, at 8:47 p.m., Patrolman Ernest Rowe, who was in the street and was attempting to rescue the wounded Sergeant Levy, was shot. 1 minute later, at 8:48 p.m., Patrolman Richard Hart was shot the first time while standing between 1416 and 1420 Lakeview. He was shot again as he ran onto Lakeview Avenue in front of those addresses. 2 minutes later, at 8:50 p.m., Patrolman Louis Galanka, while walking in the rear yard of 1395 Lakeview, was shot and killed as a result of 2 shotgun blasts. 2 minutes later, at 8:52 p.m., Patrolman Angelo Santamaria was shot in the street in front of 12314 Auburndale as he was attempting to rescue the wounded Lieutenant Jones. Then, just 23 minutes later, at 9:15 p.m., Patrolman Leonard Salkowitz was shot while on Lakeview at Auburndale while attempting to locate the position of the shooters. Then 45 minutes later, at 10 p.m., Patrolman Joseph Katanka was grazed by a gunshot in front of the Lakeview Tavern while assisting in the recovery of the wounded Sergeant Levy and Patrolman Smith. And finally, 15 minutes later, at 10:15 p.m., Anthony Sherbinsky was shot while standing on the second-story porch which separates the Lakeview Tavern and 12312 Auburndale and was attempting to determine where the shooters were located. That's a grand total of 3 police officers killed and 13 wounded in that short period of time.
Person of the trouble, 127 girls. I'm familiar with 507. taking final 707, final.
Most of us get up in the morning and go about our days, and we never think about our law enforcement officers unless we hear another negative story on the news. There is a perception that there are a lot of bad cops out there. However, the reality is 99.1% of law enforcement officers are not accused of any misconduct of any kind. Knowing that, let's not dump them all in one barrel. Now, with that being said, the last week has been one of the worst for law enforcement in its history. First, 2 Baltimore police officers plead guilty for robbing drug dealers and setting up drug houses and taking the money. 4 detectives from Baltimore Police Department are under investigation for planting drugs on a drug suspect and was caught by his own body camera. And if that's not bad enough, a Minneapolis police officer shot an unarmed white woman who called 911 for a rape in progress behind her house. The department comes out against the officer within 36 hours, and the police chief is made to resign for it. And it shows the world the double standards in police shootings. And if that don't take the cake, then it was the release and story of the Mark Furhman tapes. Everyone in law enforcement should be upset and appalled by the way the LAPD handled Mark Furhman and what Mark Furhman was saying. And I'm just going to say this. Now, I'm not going to say anything because there's nothing you can say after you hear the tapes.
Because if the media gets a hold of this, although we can say, well, we've been negotiating for years, months, whatever, they're going to say, but I find it well to be able to sell to peddle this, which is absolutely psycho.
So 66 allegations. I had a demonstration out in front of Hallback Station, chanting my name. The cat had to take them all on the roll call. That's where the trial for investigation started. Last 18 months. I was on photo lineup, suspect lineup. I was picked up. 12 people. I was the last one interviewed. Prime suspects always the last one interviewed. They didn't get any of our unit, 38 guys. They didn't get one day. I didn't get one day. The custodian, the jailer, the sheriff's department got to find Jason Seaman beat one of the guys in the area and pushed him to this field. Why? Well, such. the suspects. I think some of these officers over here got him and they took him to the station. So now nobody knows really who arrested him. We had got him through down 2 flights of stairs at first. You know, and that's how they came down. That's where a lot of the people saw. You know, look out here. It's not like you're really listening to their words, because you key on what's the truth and what isn't. First thing, anything out of a nigger's mouth for the first 5 or 6 sentences is a lie. As a policeman, you do what you're told. You understand, Dave? Otherwise, do it. And you know which gang did it, but they were tough. So I can pick up 3 or 4 gangs, bring them to the station, take one in the basement, just keep the dog shit out, not even ask a question, bring them up, sitting down. Blade, face was all fucked up, got hurt. Next guy, taken down the stairs. Okay, they shot her. Well, China. That's how you get information. What is this patting me shit about psychology? Oh, we got to teach officers how to speak Spanish. That's American. We don't speak Spanish. No, we're Mexican. I don't know, speaking Spanish. See how they do that? Well, they speak Spanish. No, but they slap upside the head. English. I'm an English teacher. Just like that. That's police. Leave that old station. It's got the smell of niggers that have been beaten and killed in there for years.
People take away from this case some lessons about the police and about crime labs that really ought to be reckoned with. Then maybe some good will come out of this. If we learn something more about race in the criminal justice system and the way we perceive things as a country, and something good comes of this discussion, then maybe there'll be some positives. In terms of the way this case was covered by the media and respect for the dignity of the courts and the process, I think we've got some serious trouble.
About being anti-police. You saw the police you could believe, and you now know the ones you can't believe. And anybody who believes that all police are perfect, that they don't lie, that they don't have the same biases and racism that the rest of society has, is living in a dream world. So this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the timid. As I said, this is for the courageous who understand what the Constitution is all about. Officers came out to Bundy and Rockingham. Maybe more than 30. You think that of those number of officers, that maybe one of them, maybe one of the patrol officers could have went to give the notice? It took all 4 detectives, all 4 LAPD experienced detectives to leave the bodies. They had notified the coroners. They didn't have a criminalist to go over to notify O.J. Simpson. Who's fooling who here? This is preposterous. They're lying. Trying to get over that wall, to get in that house. You don't believe so? You're talking about saving lives? Before this trial started, if you grow up in this country, you know there are Furhmans out there. You learn early on in your life that you're not going to be naive, that you love your country, but you know it's not perfect. So you understand that. So it's no surprise to me, but I don't take any pride in it. But for some of you, you're finding out the other side of life. You're finding out. That's why this case is so instructive. You're finding out about the other side of life. But things aren't always as they seem. It's not just rhetoric. It's the actions of people. It's the lack of courage. It's the lack of integrity at high places. That's what we're talking about here. Credibility doesn't attach to a title or position. It attaches to the person. So the person who may have a job where he makes $2 an hour can have more integrity than the highest person. It's something from within. It's in your heart. It's what the Lord has put there. That's what we're talking about in this case. And so why don't they speak out? Why do they take him to their breast? Compare how our prosecutors treat Furhman as opposed to Cato Kalin. Look at how they treated Mark Partridge as opposed to Cato Kalin. Look at how they embraced him. And now they want to distance themselves. These same people say, oh, he's not important. But the Rocard photograph puts the lie to that. He is very important. And what becomes so important when we talk about these two twin demons of evil? But America's worst nightmare. Why would they all turn their heads and try to cover for him? Why would you do that if you're sworn to uphold the law? There is something about corruption. There's something about a rotten apple that will ultimately infect the entire barrel. Because if the others don't have the courage that we'd ask you to have in this case, people sit silently by. We live in a society where many people are apathetic. They don't want to get involved. And that's why all of us, to a person in this courtroom, have thanked you from the bottom of our hearts. Because you know what? You haven't been apathetic. You're the ones who made a commitment toward justice. And it's a painful commitment. But you got to see it through. Your commitment, your courage, is much greater than these police officers. This man could have been off the force long ago if they'd done their job, but they didn't do their job. People looked the other way. People didn't have the courage. One of the things that has made this country so great is people's willingness to stand up and say, that's wrong. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to be part of the cover-up. That's what I'm asking you to do. Stop this cover-up. Stop this cover-up. If you don't stop it, then who? You think the police department's going to stop it? You think the DA's office is going to stop it? You think we can stop it by ourselves? It has to be stopped by you. His lack of credibility, his lying, racist views, then Ron Phillips, his supervisor, who apparently chose to look the other way, and I'm sure he's as embarrassed as anybody else by this disgrace, Furhman. So it's important at the outset that we understand the role of Phillips, as we need to understand the role of Van Anner. He was the one allegedly given this order by Bushy to go over and give the death notification. Didn't comply with it till much later that time. And you know, you can't fault people for being naive. But once they know, if they continue to be naive, then you can fault them. That's what it is, and that's why this case is important. Don't ever say again in this county or in this country that you don't know things like this exist. Don't pretend to be naive anymore. Don't turn your heads. Stand up. Show some integrity.
Now, let's go into the chat room with D Knows and find out what's going on today. D Knows, tell us about the poll question and what they're saying tonight in the chat room. And I see a lot of smoke. Is it on fire?
Well, Chanel, the chat room is on fire. We have police officers from the ATL, DC, and Houston. The Black Lives Matter and NEO 134 is in the house, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And they're letting their opinions show. First, the poll question. Should police officers be calling people of color the N-word? 4,500 people answer the poll question. 99.7, no. 0.3, the word should never be used.
This is why no black police officer should ever use this word. Fred Johnson and a reporter show the court a photo taken in the bathroom of the Central Police Station wall, which had the inscription, which was evidence they need to successfully litigate the Civil Rights Action in 1972. Conduct your job with vigor, or you might be replaced by a nigger.
And here are some opinions from the chat room. Jay Williams, as a police supervisor, I can tell you this: they wouldn't have a job long and would be fighting to get it back. Russell Wilkins, I just asked my class your poll question. Opinion: 100%, their badge and gun should be taken. Michelle Jackson, you know how we feel here in Boston. We called into your last show when this came up. And any police officer who uses such words makes all police look bad and need not be in that position. Herb Blunt Jr., no justice, no soul. P.B. Ross, soulless devils indeed. Kathleen Carey, this is even getting scarier. Hoodrat, 88. I bet they will not use the words poor white trash in the community, because if they did, they would not have a job. And on the lighter side, Doug Million, Funny Side 909, said, why did the policeman smell bad? He was on duty. And this is what's happening in the chat room with Dee's Nose. See ya.
The candidates forum in Cleveland Lee Harvard neighborhood was billed as a rowdy East Side Mayoral forum, more like a WWE wrestling match. It was sponsored by the Cuyahoga County Progressive Caucus, co-hosted by the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, and held at the Harvard Community Service Center. Questions were submitted by the audience members. These were some of the issues discussed: the lead paint challenge and environment concerns, effective ways for honest politicians to make a change, the militarization of the police force, the consent decree, administrative priorities for the mayor's first 5 things to do when he comes into office, neighborhood development versus downtown development, job growth, training, grocery stores, food, places and businesses, the opportunity corridor, and public transportation. This event was a forum, not a debate, but it got heated in the beginning and it stayed heated. This was a very entertaining event, seeing the candidates up close. It was like being in the crowd for a Cleveland football game, as the crowd got involved and was totally all hands in. Bryant Koskowski went after Eric Brewer. Eric Brewer took the gloves off and really took it to Zach Reed and Jeff Johnson. Bill Patton and the young man, Mr. Smith, sit on the sidelines trying to find their place to come in. This was a forum to be reckoned with. And guess what? Frank Jackson was nowhere to be seen. Now, let's hit the best parts of the forum.
You know, I used to shoot full with Carl Stokes. I'm just going to say to you all, I keep bringing him up because this is the 50th anniversary of his election as mayor of Cleveland. When he ran, we had segregated schools, we had poor neighborhood housing, we had violent police officers, we had services in government that just weren't serving our people. We only had 140 cops in 1967 that were black out of almost 2,000. Not much has changed in the last 50 years, folks. It has not changed because of people that think are after Carr, who did not keep his commitment to making sure this community got what it needed. We're living in a hellhole right now. I was 11th grade. 2 double homicides, 5 homicides in the last 5 years. I just heard shots fired last night. I'm afraid to walk in my damn neighborhood because I'm afraid Folks, we got to change the way we think. We got leadership that failed us. And if we keep bringing the same people back, the same old retread that we trusted once and shouldn't trust again, have been here over and over again, moving up and doing nothing for us. We got to go in a different direction, folks. And all I'm saying is I'm on that new direction. State project is already moving, and I'm not going to have to deal with that as the mayor is going to be doing. But with the Cleveland I want to say Cleveland Transit because my dad drove for Cleveland Transit. He was one of the first Metro bus drivers in St. Louis in the bi-state system. And so I can run on buses both in Cleveland and East St. Louis. We do not have a transit system that represents the neighborhoods. We've lost a lot of lines. And I remember when we had the line, we had the Cleveland transit system. The fares have gotten too high. Right now, you got folks driving downtown on the E line for free, and they're going up on paratransit for poor people and handicapped people. And we got, as Jim said, a mayor and a council with 4 seats on the RTA board. So if the city already has the power to have 4 seats on the board, why don't they have their 4 seats to put more lines in Cleveland to lower the damn fares so people can afford to ride buses? They already have the power, they're not using it. And that's the thing that just kind of makes me upset about all of this, is because all of this stuff sounds good, but we got people with power they don't use. I'm going to use all of the latest power to make sure that they choose certain the council is what they call a community reinvestment or community workforce initiative or something like that. They didn't meet for almost 2 years. They're supposed to meet to go over some of the issues with jobs in the city to make sure residents are working and the contractors are hiring, that it's all distributed, but they didn't meet for a year and a half. The fact is that when you have a government that puts programs in place for the elected officials to perform certain duties that they don't perform, you end up with what we have today. 94% of the students who graduate from schools today don't go to college, but yet we spend 94% of our education dollar teaching kids to go to college, when in truth we really should be spending more of it on vocational education, and this is where Jeff and I do agree. So one of the things that I would do is make sure that we realign the government's resources to do what we're supposed to do. There's 7,800 jobs in the city of Cleveland. We've had a residency law since 1982. It has not been enforced. Today, to the extent that we got 82% of our workforce non-residents, I'm hiring an HR director, and I'm telling him to put the suburbanites aside. October 1st, 1953, that allows your city council to enact a property tax of $1 per 1,000 value for 3 hospitals here. It's $50 on a $50,000 house. When Anthony Celebrezze was mayor in 1951 to 1957, in 57 he decided to go regional with our city hospital that used to exist in Cleveland, and we went to this Metro Health hospital system. Now we have regional hospital care, and Metro Health is building 2 emergency rooms, one in Palmer, one in Cleveland Heights, and we need 5 in the city of Cleveland. So what I'm going to do is take a look at 749.01 of the revised code, a 63-year-old law, make sure that we can implement it today. I am really committed to going back to a city hospital system. I believe we ought to have a city hospital system. We have 3 medical plans already on the books. That's what I'm going to focus on, folks, and also put EMS squads out there and mobile clinics in our neighborhoods.
Welcome, Facebook Live, YouTube. Hey, William Spates, I'm glad to see you coming to show your brother some love. Welcome to our 17 cities: Orlando, San Francisco, Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas. John Shock in Austin, Texas, thank you for joining us on Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 today. I just want to tell everybody this because we in the chat room. We got a lot of police officers in there. So much has been going on this week, and it's been going so fast. It's just unbelievable. The Mark Furhman tapes were released. You heard that earlier. We played some of Mark Furman's tapes. It is unbelievable of the conduct, and every person in law enforcement should be appalled. I mean, every time we talk about officers who do wrong, if you active police officers do not stand up and call them out, we got a problem. You got a problem, okay? We also going to talk about a dispatcher who sent something into one of our police correspondents about the show. And it hurts my heart because it comes from one of the departments that I really, really love. I'm not going to call the department out, but I am going to address what she said because it goes right to the point what we're talking about right now. Okay. And I have some retired police officers in the house. Thank you for joining me also, showing me the support because you knew the show that we was going to go. Later on, we have policemen calling in from all over the country. I want you to stay with us on Stop the Madness. But I want to say this right here, okay? And this is for real. Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 is a progressive web talk show. We talk about all the issues, okay? We talk about some issues some people don't even want to touch. Some shows don't want to touch. And the bottom line is we keep it real. No sugar. We call it as it is. And if you're listening to my talk show, you got to be ready to hear the truth, and you got to be ready to deal with it no matter what affiliations you are, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whether you black, white, police officers, Black Lives Matters at all. I'll call everybody out, okay? I don't pick on one person. I call for the resignation of Chief Calvin Williams. I call for the termination of the safety director. I call for the mayor to be removed, okay? I keep it across the board, and anybody who watches my show knows that I call it as I see it. And if you can't handle the real deal, then guess what? There are hundreds of other channels that you can listen to here on internet radio that you can go to. Facebook Live, you are here because you want to be here. You don't have to, but I appreciate that you're here. Gerald Hall, where you at? Because I want to talk to you about something. Now, there was a video that I'm going to get into before we get to the phone and start calling in, letting the policemen call in. There was a video that went out across the web. It was released by a police department, and it was put on all the police websites, and it started playing across social media. A police dispatcher seen a posting of the media of this video, and she really went in on only the black officers that was commenting on the video. I'm not going to call out her department, but this is what she had to say about a black officer, and this is what she had to say about me and the show, and she had to say this about officers talking about high-profile police cases and Donald Trump. Now, before I address her comments, I want to say this. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone has a place at the table. You don't have the right to tell me or somebody else they cannot express their opinion. Why is it cop bashing when you tell the truth or you talk about a case or call it as you see it? I don't see anyone from the police department or the dispatch center that you're working at calling Channel 19 News, CNN, the Howard Stern Show, or telling any other news outlet what they should be reporting on or what they should be doing their show on. And I'm going to keep it real right here. You ain't got the right to tell me. And if you try, you're not writing no checks for me. I'm going to give you what you get. So that's why I'm going to blast you right here on internet radio across 17 cities. I'm going to give you some respect because I'm not going to say your name. And I told the other police officers that you send this to not to say your name or the department. I'm going to give y'all that much respect. Doug Million, me and you got into it last time over some a heated conversation, okay? And you know I protect my brothers in blue, and you know me and you really got into it. I got on Saxman about it, and you know I'm always trying to defend officers, okay? But now I've been labeled a cop basher. What that says about everyone else, if I'm the cop basher and I'm the one putting down police officers, then y'all in trouble. I'm going to tell police officers right now, you're really in trouble. No one talks about black on black crimes more than me. I don't care what show I'm on. If I'm on internet radio, if I'm on CNN, if I'm on talk show radio across XM, I speak to black on black crime. I speak to responsibility. Just last week, if you go back to the show, you hear a whole show that we did with the pastor on accountability and the breakdown of the community and the failure of government. So I keep it across the board. And we just had a show about that. So I'm bashing the police. Why is it every time a black officer or officer of color speaks out against something, the blue wall has to throw a rock on top of them? And I'm going to speak to this. Now, Sax Man, I know you listening to me, and I'm going to just keep it 100. You post that video up talking about that shooting of the police shooting the man high on PCP 43 times. You and some of your friends from Facebook and social media made some comments on there, okay? The hate and the shade started getting thrown. See, Sax Man, what I told you, and I'm glad that you right here, we spoke to this, and later on I'm going to give you a chance to tell your side about it, and this goes right to the problem. As long as that police dispatcher was on this page where they was calling people of color the N-word, she had no problem with that. As long as they were showing people of color in bad situations or calling them thugs and posting fight videos and calling them welfare queens, she had no problem with that. But the minute a law enforcement officer posted a video of a police shooting and made a comment, and somebody came on his page and made a bad comment, she had a problem with it. Then she's going to go back and accuse my show and other black police officers, the Black Shield and other places, of the police bashing. Now, I had nothing to do with the video being shared that she's talking about. And as I said before, I'm not going to mention her name. But I'm going to give you her statement, what she accused that law enforcement officer of, and any minority or black officers that speak of. And this is a dispatcher who been on the job less than 3 years and worked for a major police department. And I'm going to say this. If that's the attitude of the police department dispatch center, does it go down into the police department? And if that's the attitude, I see why we having the problems that we having in the community. Okay? So all the good work that all the good police officers and them out there doing, it's being wasted because people like her coming on social media saying nasty, hateful, racial things. Now, she says that she unfriended officers a long time ago for their cop bashing. There's good and bad in everybody. But black officers only want to make police and white people out to be the bad guy. Why doesn't they ever talk about black on black crime, black on white crime? I have no room in my life for racist people or racist cops like that, or cop haters and animal abusers. I just think there's no point in posting videos. Well, let me say this to her, okay? Tell that to the police groups who post the video and put them out there, okay? Now, I don't have no problem with your opinion because you have the right to say it. But you do not have the right to suppress anyone's First Amendment rights. You don't have the right to demagogue police officers or someone of color for talking out on police cases or expressing their opinion. You want to make it personal. I don't see you telling anyone in police groups and or police departments not to post a video. And I went back and checked all the police groups, Sea Blue and all the way down, to see if you went in there telling them not to post a video or call people of color nasty names or the N-word. And I'm going to keep it real with you, calling people niggers, okay? I don't see you on any of those pages, Miss Dispatcher, telling them not to do that, okay? Now, I'm going to say this. Sometimes in life, you got to take a stand. And sometimes in life, you got to talk to all the issues. I don't talk race too much, and I really don't talk about color. I go to right and wrong. I don't care if you're a black police officer. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care if you're a white police officer. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care if you're Black Lives Matters. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But I'm going to say a statement from a retired police officer that came out of D.C., and I'm going to let everybody know. He says, you find out that the blue line doesn't include you if you speak up, okay? And that's really, really sad. So we're going to go into the thing right here, and I want everybody to understand. In the chat room, we addressed that, what you were talking about, and I really don't like to talk about that. And I hope everybody else understands that everybody has an opinion and a statement. And if you work for a police department, you should know that it is not proper for you to tell people of color that they call them racists, monkeys, niggers, okay? If that's your opinion, then you need not be sitting in radio. You need another job. On the telephone with me tonight is my main man, Sax Man. You on the air?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on, Sax Man? I just was telling our audience about that dispatcher. I didn't call no names, and I don't want you to call no names, but how she says that the video that the people of color put up was putting a death warrant on police officers and calling people racist.
Okay.
So since it came from your thing, because I just expressed my opinion and I went very, very in on it. So the thing of it is, Sax Man, this is what I was saying, and I want to go back into it because I told our audience. This is what me and you talked about before. When I send you a text over that when I told you about how they didn't have a problem when people was calling people the N-word, or when they was posting all the nasty videos, or when they was calling people welfare queens and talking about the bikers and all that other stuff, okay?
Right.
And the minute the police post a video from a police group, post a video, and somebody said something on it, she had a problem, and she had a problem with you, but I understand that she may apologize to you, but she can't apologize to me.
Okay.
Because after I just called her out on the air in 17 cities across the nation, she better be glad I didn't call her out on her police department. But I'm not that type of person.
Right. You're not. You're not. You are real. You straight up about things. I felt some type of way about it because to be called a race baiter, that upsetted me because I'm far from being a race baiter. I don't like to bait anything saying I want to pit race against race. That's not what I do. I just call it the way I see it. If I see that something is crazy, like that video was posted on my page by someone else, and all I did was respond just by saying, wow, that's a bit excessive, and it was overkill because my opinion, when you shoot someone and they fall to the ground, then you eliminate the threat. But you don't need to shoot them additional 20, 25 times while they lay on the ground. So that's my opinion for saying, wow, that was a bit overkill. And to say something like that and then then say, oh, you should know better. You know, you probably would have stood there and you wouldn't have shot and let your partner do all the shooting. You and Sean is race baiters. That kind of hurt my feelings because this person I knew to make that comment.
Well, see, it didn't hurt my feelings because guess what? I'm used to being trolled. I'm the raw dog, as they say. Raw dog, you want to keep it real, okay? I invited that person to call into the show, okay? Because
did they call in?
No, they haven't called in, nor are they on the chat room. But the chat room is filled and jumping. We got police officers from L.A. Russell Wilkins, you know, Russell Wilkins he's hardcore. He's a law student, and he does a law class out of L.A. His class
I need to talk to him. I need to talk to him.
His class is in the chat room and with us. And Mark, you may know Mark. He works down around 105th on Sundays. He's in the chat room with us. Just hold up for a minute, chat, because we just tied back into YouTube Live. YouTube Live, welcome. Orlando, Savannah, welcome. ATL in the house, welcome. Facebook Live, welcome. We are on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We talking with our correspondent, Saxman. We were talking about a email that was sent by a police dispatcher who went after black officers for making comments on police videos, and she started calling them race baiters and racists and about a lot of names and nasty names. But I'm going to challenge her since she put me into the middle of it and talked about the show. As I told you before, we are a progressive talk show. We talk about all the issues. I'll call out everybody. I talk about black and black crime. I talk about white on black crime. I talk about police officers. And when police officers who do things wrong, I don't condemn them. I don't talk against them. I try to educate them. And even if I have a brother on the line, like I got one now, he knows that I tell him and tell the rest of them things that they shouldn't do, because just by doing it makes other police officers and the image of them look bad.
That's true. That is true. You always put me in my place.
Michelle,
if I'm wrong, you always check me.
Michelle Jackson, who is married to a Boston police captain, is in the chat room. Michelle Jackson, I thank you for the love, and I thank you for what you just posted up there, because you are correct. They must have never listened to our shows, and this is what I'm going to tell everybody here. Go back and listen to our shows on demand. You can understand what we talk about, because we talk about it all. You heard me play the Mayoral candidate, Saxman. I don't know if you heard that, but I've had your boy, Eric Brewer, on radio, and we played the best of the 57 candidate form of the 57 Mayoral race. And Eric Brewer took the gloves off, man. He went bare our knuckles on him.
He do it all the time. When I interviewed him for that hour, man, you should have heard it. I wish I had the interview on tape. You'd have heard the way he talked. He ain't playing. He ain't playing.
I keep telling everybody, and everybody keep coming back, but I keep telling everybody, I was at that forum, and when he took it to Jeff Johnson and Reed, he put them under. He put them under, Saxman. I mean, he really put them back. And he came, and that was just a little bit of it. I have a bunch more. Matter of fact, I have over an hour film that we're making a video, and we're going to be playing it all. Because next week we have one of the Mayoral candidates, Mr. Smith. I think his proper name is Jerome Smith. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. We're going to try to get him in the Studio 51 so he can come in and spend 2 hours with us. Mr. Smith, if you hear me, you got my text, and our station reached out to you. You can contact me. We're going to try to set it up for you to come into Studio 51 and tell the people of the city of Cleveland why you want to be their mayor. On Facebook Live, Barbara Ann Shepard, thank you for joining us. You know that we love when you come into the house.
Yeah.
Nothing but love for you, Barb, and thank you for showing us some love. Right now,
what's happening, Barbara?
Tallahassee's in the house. Tallahassee's one of the 17 cities that we broadcasting live to. Thank you for coming in with us. But Saxman, I want to ask you about something. Did you get to in the chat room? Everybody's talking about the Mark Furhman tapes. Did you get to? Did you get to see those?
I got a chance to listen to some, and some of it what I heard was like maybe, I want to say maybe 3-4 minutes of it didn't stop.
But
it didn't let me see that much of it.
Right. But what my question is, and this goes back to the administrators, because we have so many black executives now, more than we didn't had since the 60s and 70s. This type of conduct should not go on. And if you're in law enforcement and you heard Mark Furman's tapes, or you seen CNN series, the Furman tapes revealed, if you're not appalled or mad, something's wrong with you. You're the problem. I'm going to say that right there, just like I just told that dispatcher. You're not fixing the problem. You're the problem. When you don't sit at the table and you do not discuss, like grown human beings, everybody's side, when you start calling people names, and when you start becoming racial, and when you start labeling people, that's the problem we have right now.
That's the problem. That's the problem I had, Sean. I'm like, I've never thought that you and I could see them maybe attacking me, because I'm the only one that probably use provocative words, on the show. I never heard you do it. So for her to say you and Sean, always stirring up the pot and keeping the race separate and everything, I was kind of shocked. I said, well, I can see you attacking sex men. Everybody likes to attack sex men. Okay, I'm a target. I'll be one. I'm devil's advocate. But to attack Sean, that really blew my mind. I couldn't believe that.
Well, she's not the first one. Like I said, I got Bernie or Bus people in there trolling me. I get trolled and I get nasty emails, death threats, and all that other stuff. The one thing what everybody don't understand is I walk the projects at night by myself, and I've been out there in the Cleveland streets for 32 years, so I'm not scared of nothing. Okay.
I guess people underestimate my talent. They don't know much about me either, Sean. They don't know what I've done.
If it's time for if it's time for me to walk through the gates of hell and the fire, I want everybody to know I worked for Cleveland Police Department for 32 years in law enforcement. I already been in the gates of hell. I already worked in the fire. I already been treated like a second-class citizen. I already had everything that could be done to me, with the exception of my life being taken, because my Savior walked me through there. So now this ain't nothing but cake for me. Nothing but cake. So I don't mind people coming after me. I don't mind what people say. So it doesn't matter. Long as you come to the show, long as you send that stuff in for the show, long as you let me get my ratings and keep Stop the Madness, the #1 talk show, I don't have a problem with it. I'll be your punching boy,
Well, I agree, because whenever you want to have a topic about a subject, if a person wants to get on you, I agree. Bring them to the show. That's good for the show. You can give them a chance to say what they got to say. Give them a voice, and you can help the show. I agree. And I asked her to come on the show. If you have a problem with me and Sean, if you think what we said is wrong, come on the show and talk about it. I told her that.
They won't come on the show, okay? I
understand it.
I offer that also. Well, I'm going to tell you why they won't come on the show, okay? And I'm going to tell everybody in Facebook land, we broadcasting live on internet radio, 17 cities. The reason she won't come on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100, because she can't answer the first question. And the first question is just like Captain L. Hands just said out of Phoenix, Arizona. If you're in a police group and they're calling people of color the N-word, or they're showing them videos like I said before, and you don't go in there and tell them don't call them people that, or you don't go in there and say they wrong, and if you don't call them race basis, you're agreeing with what they're saying. So that means you're part of the problem.
You're part of the problem. And I believe that's what she looked at me, because I never really said much about, and this is what Michelle Jackson from Boston said. She said to me, she said, Sax, man, I like you. I like what you talk about. She said, the only problem I got with you is you don't call the bad police out when they are bad, when it's time to call them out. She said, that's the only problem she had with me. I took it wrong. That's why I want to apologize to Michelle Jackson.
Yeah, she listens to the show. But you know what? Gerald Hall, welcome Facebook Live. And I'm going to try to get some black police officers into the show, because right now the community and the police department is at a place where it should never be. And we went back to the 60s and 70s, okay? And I said on the last show, and I believe that was a captain out of L.A., and I agree with him 100%, and I'm going to say this again. We had an officer in the city of Cleveland testify against his partner, okay? And he is being held across the country as a upstanding law enforcement officer, and more people are screaming, where are the rest of the good guys? And I'm going to say this. If the police don't police themselves like we did back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that profession in them is going to go down. And when people come into the community, if the community doesn't trust you, there's no peace. We went on the 49th right now, the 49th anniversary of the Glenville riots. We played that piece earlier. Facebook, I don't know if you heard it earlier when we played it earlier, but you can catch it on demand. We're doing live streaming on internet TV. So Facebook kick us in and out because of the streaming. But go back on demand and listen to Garcia talk about how police officers were shot, black and white, responding to 123 and Brula, how the car came over. We had live tapes from police radio. And that dispatcher was just on time to come in to talk about her, because that's what we was talking about, police officers and the Furhman tapes anyway. So she just made the show a little bit longer. But Sax Man, the second thing I want to go into.
Okay, talk to me.
Go into it that we was looking. The Glenville riots, 3 police officers killed, 13 wounded in less than 45 minutes.
Okay.
They was outgunned, first of all, and some of the detectives knew that they was outgunned, but you talking about 15 or 14 people with M1 carbines. That's an army.
Yes.
That's an army.
That's Army, exactly.
Okay.
And they was on roofs, they was out of windows, they had barricaded. They was prepared for this fight with the police. They was ready.
Well, they targeted. They were the first militant group to target law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
That was their goal. They was ready to die. And this is what I want to tell everybody right now. Our community is sitting on a gas can, okay? Last week, me and Gerald Hall, we talked about on the show, and Gerald Hall's back with us again. We talked about community responsibility, parenting.
Uncle Gerald.
We talking about people standing up, teaching their kids to respect themselves, respect their community, because if a kid doesn't respect his mother or his parents or his grandparents, he's not going to respect law enforcement.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It starts at home.
It starts at, right. And we had that talk on last week's show with Pastor Wayne Francis.
Yep.
And Pastor Francis, I hope you're feeling better and you can get back into the studio with us, because I really wish you was here with me tonight. But,
right. Because Doug told y'all again, right?
Yeah, Doug is ill, and hey, I hope that brother sitting in the funny chair. You know, when it comes prime time, a lot of people can't handle that. When the camera and the lights come on, you know, a lot of people just go crazy. They can't handle the prime time on it. But Silver Howard is in the house. Welcome, Silver. But Saxman, L.A. Another law enforcement officer is going to come on and talk with us, and he's going to talk about that shooting. I think you talked to him about that already.
Yeah, I talked to him and to a butcher, the other gentleman that was on that video. I mean, not on it, but he was the first comment on that video about it being a bad thing that those cops did, and that's when the dispatcher came on and thought that it was us being racist. Those comments were being racist.
Well, see,
so he said he was going to call in and explain himself.
Well,
I hope he does.
Well, I hope he do too. But see, this is the problem right here. I agree with some of the stuff she said about the video, because had a person got out of a car with a gun and shot one round, he's fair game. Okay, I agree with it. Yeah, if you remember, I said that when everybody was asking. Those officers were 100% correct with what they did and how they did it. So I don't understand how it was flipped back on black police officers and them being called racist.
Yeah, because it was black police officers there that did the shooting.
Right, and then I want to talk about this too. I want to go back into this with you, because I don't know if you called this last week, but law enforcement had a horrible week last week. Because you had the 2 Baltimore detectives that is on their way to jail for robbing drug dealers and drug houses.
And the one detective that planted the drugs, that was a bad thing last week.
Right, with his body cam, got caught on his body
camera. And then there's some Somali policeman shot the white woman from overseas. That was bad.
Well, in the chat room, that's what they're talking about right now in the chat room. And in the chat room, they have gone crazy. Okay? I wish D Knows had kept it on earlier, because D Knows was in the chat room telling us their comments earlier.
Okay.
But in the chat room right now, they're gone crazy. And I have never, and I'm going to say this right here, a police officer shoots an individual. I've never seen the chief come out within 4 hours and say he was wrong.
Right.
Now I'm going to have to say that was a first for me, and that's probably why everybody's going crazy right now. But what's missing from that, I went back and we went for statements. We went back to the union. We went back to the police groups. Nobody is offering that officer support. I don't understand that.
Because it's what I explained to you last time we talked. Once they found out that he was a Somali national, you know, that's when the support cut off. So they would have gave it to him until they found out he was a Somali.
So you said he's a Muslim. Go ahead and say it, Donald Trump world, because we're going to talk about Trump later on.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
Because they found out he was a Muslim, they had an issue, and they ain't going to support him, even though he's a police officer.
Well,
he said, but he ain't no true black. I guess that's what they probably say. That's just me saying it.
Right. Well,
he ain't no true black man. He's a Muslim from Somalia.
Well, see, this is the problem about that, and I'm going to say this because it was such a backlash from the chief coming out condemning him.
Oh, yeah.
and the backlash came from the black community and Black Lives Matter. And it wasn't that they came out for the police officer. They came out on the issue is, how are you going to come out within 3 hours of the shooting and condemn this officer of all the shootings we had in this city? And that's why the mayor required and requested the resignation of the chief, because it showed a double standard.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
And when it showed that double standard, the chief created that double standard, so she had to go. So, Saxman,
the mayor was correct by making the statement she made and by making the decision to where it originally started off as being she's going to resign. The chief is going to resign. But you and I both know the mayor was going to fire her anyway. So she went on and made a statement and saying, I'm going to resign.
Saxman must have got disconnected on our phone. We're going to try to get him right back. Oh, we got a phone call coming in. There you go, right there on the line. We have L.A. L.A., what's happening tonight? L.A., what's happening tonight? You on Stop the Madness, keep it 100.
I'm keeping it 100. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Come on and tell us what you think about that video.
I believe it's a sign that the entire governance is falling apart. People don't get along. The police don't know what to do. People don't know what to do. So this is pretty much a symptom of a system that's completely breaking down. Right now, you are seeing the fall of America, and I think this is an example of that. So,
when you seen the video, what did you think?
I thought it was horrific. On one side of the totem, you see police officers. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and the guy he's shooting at them. So it's really hard to really say who's in the wrong. But to me, in my opinion, I honestly believe that the system is falling apart, and I believe the public is out of whack. The police, they're out of whack. We need to do some soul searching. So,
well, let me ask you this, L.A. L.A. is in the house. He's a law enforcement officer. 954 area code in the house. That's down in Florida. Welcome, Cassandra Sharp. Welcome to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We are on the phone with L.A., a law enforcement officer, and he's telling us about some of the controversy things that's going on. But L.A., did you see the Mark Furhman tape series?
Nah, I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. And did you see that other tape about the policeman that was caught on his own body cam planting drugs?
Oh, yeah, I definitely saw that. That right there, that's, like I said, it's a symptom. The system is falling apart, and police doing that is bad, man. So nobody trusts the police. The police don't trust the public. It's terrible. But on the perspective of an individual, I would probably say, to me, it's a corrupt cop. That's just what he is. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't be out there.
I agree with you 100% on that, and the chat room's agreeing with you. But a question from the chat room that want to come back into you with you. What do you think of the shooting in Minneapolis when the Muslim police officer shot that lady and the police chief came out against him within 3 hours?
Honestly, it's race-based propaganda. Because if it was another officer of a different creed, I can guarantee you, they said, well, we have to investigate the situation, see exactly what happened. And by the time you hear anything, it's probably like maybe a year later. But since it's somebody who happens to be of a particular, let's just say on I guess in a historical sense, based on how America has been built and how it is, you can basically see that since he looks like her brother, then he's guilty of shooting her unjustly. But if it was somebody else who didn't look like him, it probably would have went the other way.
So,
because I was thinking, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, LA. Go ahead. Go. Come up. My audience is loving you, so go ahead.
What I was going to say, if you look at the situation with Philando Castile, now this is on video, right? This is on video, and it took them a whole year, or at least that, to try to even look at, to even I guess get some type of indictment. If I got my facts right, because I don't know how long it took, but I know it took a long time before they said, well, he's not guilty. The guy had a gun, blah, blah, blah. But with this woman, since it happened to have been a victim who happened to be, a particular color, or lack thereof, she's this way, so, and he's this way, so he's guilty. Throw him under the bus.
Right, because the his lawyer, for the first time in a police shooting, has told the officer, don't even give a statement. And that's very rare.
Well, I mean, you're dealing with two perspectives. You got, you know how we have race in America as far as, like, it's always a black versus white thing, but now it's really a black versus white versus blue now. So now it's just like, it's either you're blue, you're black, or you're white. And it's just like, if you are black and blue, then you're really the enemy. But if you're kind of blue and then white, then it's kind of like, well, there were circumstantial situations, so we have to take it into consideration. We're going to do everything in our power to investigate, because the cop was of a particular creed or nationality.
LA, we appreciate you coming. Hey, we really appreciate you giving us your perspective, and all the law enforcement officers that are in the chat room with us. LA, we want you to stay with us and stop the madness and everything, and thank you for showing us some love, and maybe we can get you into the studio with us and really get a better perspective of what's going on.
Oh, definitely.
All right, thank you, LA. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. That was L.A. calling in, law enforcement officer. We appreciate them. The chat room is really, really blowing up. And right now we got to go pay some bills because I got to make sure we can pay off some stuff. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100.
Hey, Thirst, can I try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you? Yes. Cool. You okay with this? Yes. And this? Yes. And what about this? Yes. Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola. Open happiness.
We're here asking people from all over what they think of Lipton green tea. Let's hear what people from Texas have to say. How about China? Germany? How about people from the North Pole? Or Mars? What about mimes? Oh, right. People with their jaws wired shut? Oh. Yeah, a barbershop quartet. Oh, you guys are great. How about race car drivers? What about you, high school glee club, here on a field trip? Well, that settles it. It sounds like everyone loves the taste of Lipton green tea. With its protective antioxidants from real tea, it's not just good for you, it's to you. Lipton tea can do that.
You're listening to Stop the Madness. STMK Radio host 100, 100. Let and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100, 100, 100.
Welcome back with us on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. Back on the phone with us, Sax Man.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear L.A.? L.A. was, he really set it out there. He was a law enforcement officer, and we appreciate him coming back on the show. And he had some good perspective what he was talking about. And I just want to say this one thing to I know a lot of people in the chat room, to people that's not law enforcement officers. I wasn't trying to dish you when I said if you haven't sat in a zone car, or if you haven't answered a radio run, or if you haven't been shot at, or you can't call out. What I was saying was, before you start trying to chastise a police officer about a comment he made, you have to be a police officer to know what he's talking about. Okay,
that's true.
Now,
that's true.
Now you can criticize the profession, you can criticize what he does or how he does it, but you cannot criticize his opinion because you don't have that perspective he has. And that's what I was saying when I said that.
And that's a good way to explain it. That's right on point, Sean. That's right on point.
So, Saxman, before we go into our next segment, talking about Trump going in there, the chat room want to know when you're coming back into the studio, man.
I got a few more things I'm handling. That way I can have the free time to come back in. They got my shift the way it is. I'm working. I'm in school still. I'm almost done with that. Once I get all that out the way, I have free time for you, Sean. Come on back in there on Thursdays and act the fool.
Well, the chat room wants you back into the studio. They love you, man. You got some fans up in here. Welcome, Vanessa Campbell.
I love them too. I love them too.
Welcome, Vanessa Campbell from Facebook Live. We appreciate you. In the house with us right now is ATL, and running on the fact of that. Welcome, ATL.
All right. ATL.
Jacqueline, welcome. Hey, but Saxman, everybody wants to know, what are we going to do to change the perspective of law enforcement and the way the community sees them? And that dispatcher, when she said you put a death warrant on police officers, how you change that perspective? Because if the people in the department sees the community or people who speaks about problems with law enforcement officers that way, there's a serious issue. So how you change that?
Well, this is about the second time I was told that. I was told that by our girl from Boston, that I'm putting the way I was responding to these issues about police performance and reform, that I was putting a target on cops back. And I had to sit back and think about what she was saying. That's why I said I wanted to apologize to her and to the Boston police officers that was listening to the show.
But we got.
And I wanted to say this, and it has, like I told Mayor Brewer, it has to start from the top down, from the mayor's office all the way down to the lonely police officer. You got to get your command staff together. Everybody got to be on the same page on policies. You got to create a policy that's going to be fair for the police department as well as the citizens. I've always said that. Right now, the way the policies are being made right now, Sean, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it's not fair to police officers. It's mainly geared towards supporting the criminals. You know, you stop this.
Right, but on that issue, I do want to say this right here. If the police would police themselves,
it's start from the top, yeah.
Because 98% of law enforcement officers go out every day in the community and serve their communities without a problem. Okay, but it comes back when you have a dispatcher that has that attitude, and if she has that attitude didn't start with her. It had to start from being around police officers. Okay, it had to start from her peers talking like that. That just didn't start from somebody sitting behind a radio in a enclosed room.
Well,
okay.
Where does she live? What type of community she live in?
Well,
does she live in a community that's diverse like Cleveland, or does she live in a community that's mainly all white people that believe the same way?
Okay.
You got to stop and think about that too. You know, she's around that type of negativity. She's raised in it. She went to school around it. She's married to it or dating to it. Got other relatives that's like that. There's nobody around her that's going to tell her that's not the way to be. That's no way to think. You got people around her that's probably okay with the way she think and way she act, and pass her on the back with that behavior. So there's no one telling her different. So when you raised around that type of behavior, that's all you're going to know. even on the job. That's why you got a lot of cops that would rather just dog a black man instead of giving a black man an understanding. Let him go, leave him alone. That's something simple. Just like, case in point, I was looking at a situation out of Texas. There was some boys out cutting grass. All right, and the one kid was out passing out his flyer to all the neighbors in the neighborhood while his friends was cutting the grass. And the police came and started messing with him. Yeah, if that would have been a black cop, I don't think it went no further than, all right, dude, man, good luck, man, make your paper, bro. See you later. You ain't causing no problem. But it escalated to something else. Even though it turned out to be the black kid was he was wrong because he had a warrant out, but you would have never known that if he just would left him alone. The black kid could have went on and continued on his business and been productive. So I'm just saying, when you're in a black neighborhood or in a predominantly black and brown neighborhood, and you got white cops who never lived in that neighborhood, never dealt with those type of people, never went to school with those type of people, don't socialize with those type of people, are not going to understand how to police them when they come in contact with them. That's the problem.
But I want to go back into what the LAPD, and I'm going to say this for LAPD because you know what? I didn't get into that when we got to the Furhman tapes. It is appalling the way LA allowed Mark Furhman. I got to we do that black policewoman, and everybody need to see CNN's Mark Furhman tapes revealed because there was a black female police officer, and they didn't even respect black police officers. Okay, and I got a black LA captain and commander in the chat room right here. And the one captain's going back to what he said 2 shows ago when we did the summit and the police reform. He said that black police officers and minorities, which are white women, white Puerto Ricans, Puerto Rican women, white women, black women, Puerto Rican males, Asian, and all that. If you're not a white male, you are a minority, okay?
Right.
He, once again, iterated in the chat room, and I'm in here with him, and I'm glad everybody's in the chat room. They're going that minorities have forgotten their role in law enforcement, and until they come back and start participating the way they are, it will not change.
Would you like to see the minority police officer put the white police officers in check when you see them getting out of line? That's what you're talking about?
Well,
coming to them and let them know, hey, man, that ain't cool.
Well,
what you doing?
What he's saying is, and they just put up there, when the dissent decree in 1977 was ruled by the federal courts, it clearly states that the court agreed with the plaintiff that minority officers should be put on the police force for the following 2 reasons. One, the police department shall reflect the community they serve. 2, the minority officers need to be on the department to ensure that their counterparts did not treat the community with disrespect, and they would not allow white police officers to treat the community with disrespect because they were disrespected and treated the same way, and they were to ensure that the community was treated fairly and the law was equally distributed across the board. So what the judge is saying, he put the minorities, black males, black females, white males, all of them on the police force to ensure that they didn't join up with the good old boys and do this. And I see right there, Miller Thompson, you came on the force back then. Welcome for being in Stop the Madness. Keep it 100. We got some a lot of old-time officers there. I wish I could get you on the show, man. You need to come and sit in the studio with us. I'm going to get Lawrence Kraft. He's going to come on the show one time. Because, see, the problem right here is maybe if the minority stepped up and told them that we're not going to allow this, okay, it wouldn't happen. We have more black police officers running police departments in this country now than we ever had in the history of law enforcement. Okay, so there's no reason for the community to feel that they're under siege.
Well, in my opinion, Sean, why I believe that the black police officers, male and females, don't step up and say anything when they see their white counterparts doing anything, it's due to acceptance. I think they want to be accepted or to be looked at as not to be a troublemaker because they might get some type of backlash behind it. But case in point, it happened to me, as you know, I am the only black officer that do work for the agency that I work for, and it happened to me. So I can understand that. When you step up and you say something, you can get backlash to the point where it can stop you from promotions.
So
it can stop you from easy jobs or anything you're trying to get. They can interfere with you.
Let me ask you this question then. And since you law enforcement and you, let me ask you this question. So what you're going to compromise your morals and allow?
Not me. Not me.
I mean,
not me.
I mean, not
right,
you.
Right.
But what I'm saying is,
I call hell stepping up. But others don't. Others will do just that. They will compromise that because they want the acceptance and they don't want the backlash.
Russell,
if you say the hell with it, I'll move on to another department. Fuck you, move whatever. Take that stance. But if you don't want to leave that department, you feel that department is going to be your home for the next 30 years, then they're going to shut their mouth up.
James, Facebook Live, welcome. James, Facebook Live, welcome you to our sister city, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome for joining us. Hey, Thomas, man, you need to come get with me and tell me about what's going on in your church, and also you need to come on and talk some good issues with us. Sax Man, since you're on the phone with us, and we talked to LA, and we got all these police officers in the chat room, and that dispatcher came on into your area. I expressed my concerns about that, so I'm already went there on that. So, but the question I want to know, Sax Man, before we go and get off the phone with you, what is going to happen here? Because we can't continue on the same road.
No, we can't. Like I said, it has to start from the top, Sean. We got a clean house. If we got to start all over and get all new police captains, chiefs, deputy chiefs, commanders, whatever, if we have to start all over and get a new mayor, hopefully the new mayor will get in, and they will sit down at the table and come up with a new plan on how to police the police. Come up with some new rules, some new regulations, some new policies that's going to make it better for us to go out and police the neighborhood, make the neighborhood safe and the residents safe, as well as the police officer. Keep the good old boys from breaking the rules, violating people's civil rights. It has to be some type of accountability behind that. They have to be held accountable for doing that. If a person complains and they get video evidence that their rights have been violated, that officer or officers should be held accountable for that. There is no accountability. It needs to be brought back to this department. That's the problem.
So also, I got to welcome Savannah. Savannah's in the house. Also, D Knows. If you come back in the chat room, we're going to try to get you back up. So, Sax Man, while you out there in the street, what is the feeling of the community while you work in the streets?
Well, the community I work in, they cool. I mean, I work the suburbs, so they don't have no issues. Because it's a whole different atmosphere. It's not as like in Cleveland. Cleveland is a large metropolitan city, so it's going to have the problems that it has. If you got a 6 mile-an-hour radius of city that you're dealing with, if you got crime and problems there, it's going to be so enclosed, you're not going to hear about it. So you got residents that is on a higher income bracket out where I work. Much higher income bracket. Their homes are paid for. The neighborhoods is class-free. They don't have those issues. So for me, when I pull up on a situation, it's a different greeting that I receive versus if I was still in the city.
Well, hold on. We have an officer right here that works for a major police department out of New York State, and he says that the suburbs have really more problems than the inner city, and they have the same drug problems, and they have the same domestic violence problems, and now they have an increase in carjackings and robberies, and he want to make this note: it's not all people of color.
No, it's not. It's really not, because I'm telling you, where I work, it's 99 or 95% white. It's only 5% people of color. And so if there's crime out there where I'm working at, 95% of it is from another race. It's not the race that not my race. If it is, you don't hear about it.
Well,
it's rarely that you hear anything that goes on where I work at. You don't hear it. It's not televised. It's not put out there. It's not talked about. You don't hear about it because they know how to cover it up.
Well,
they keep it quiet.
Sax, man, we appreciate you being with us today, and we appreciate it. You know, we got to move on down the line and hit our national audience.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, and stay safe out there and watch your six, my brother. Right there, that was Sax Man on the line, and we appreciate him calling in. The phone lines were jammed up. We had a call from L.A. L.A., thank you for calling in. Next week, we're going to have one of the 57 Mayoral candidates. We're trying to work it out for him to come into the studio. But what we want to talk about right now, and I want everybody to understand this, is that we as a community have to work as one. And to be one, that means everybody has to sit at the table and talk about it. For that young lady, everybody in the chat room want me to call out the department and stuff. I'm not going to do that. That's not the proper thing to do. But we're going to move on down the line right now, and I want to talk about Trump world. Our president has really, really lost his mind. And I want to talk about something that everybody should understand and look at. And I want you to start forgetting what's being showed on TV, because all everybody's talking about now is emails, the Russia investigation, healthcare fight, Trump's new communication director talking about the White House chief of staff is leaking so they can fire him. The president shaming the attorney general so he can quit, or if he's going to do a recess appointment. All that goes to the Russia investigation. And believe me, folks, the Russia investigation, there is a lot of fire going on right now. It's a 10-alarm fire. But what really takes the cake is that President Barack Obama made a commitment to the American people that he was going to pull us out of 2 wars. He got us out of Iraq, and he was bringing down the troops in Afghanistan. Now, President Trump has given the military free reins and operation over the military situation right here. And this is something that's going on right now. Trump considered Afghan war expansion to consider exporting and taking their minerals. In recent days, the president has struggled to justify his military advisors' request to send more troops to Afghanistan. After 16 years worth of bloodshed and all of the American soldiers who lost their life, now they're talking about sending more American kids over to Afghanistan so they can mine minerals for Stephen A. Finberg, who is a billionaire financier who formerly advised Mr. Trump on Afghanistan. And he's looking for a way to go over there to mine the Taliban and Afghanistan's minerals and make $1 billion off of it, ship it back here to the United States, and have the federal government, you the taxpayers, pay his company to guard the mining operation. Now, folks, you may not know this, but China has teamed up with the Taliban, and China has told the Taliban that they will pay them for the mining operations. So, Trump want to go over there and take it all and put American troops over there. China is going to send troops over there. The Taliban, who are we fighting now, is asking the whole country to rise up against the Americans. If the Russians couldn't take Afghanistan, and if we couldn't defeat them in 16 years, why are we sending more of our kids over there to die? That's the question. Everybody needs to ask themselves just that one question. Why are we sending our kids to Afghanistan for them to make money off our kids' life? Right now, folks, I want you to look that up. I want you to do your own research. I want you to go back into it, Afghanistan and China. What we're going to do now, we're going to fight Iran, North Carolina, and China. And we're going to send kids over to Afghanistan to die so we can mine their minerals and send it back here for a millionaire to get all the rights to it, a billionaire. His name is Stephen A. Finberg. And I want you to look this up. His last name is Feinberg. First name, Stephen A., or they call him Stephen. Look him up. He's an advisor to Trump. He wants to send American troops over there, President Trump do, so his buddy can make $1 billion mining Afghanistan, and you, the taxpayers, going to pay this guy's company like Blackwater to watch the mining operations. That's what you need to be looking at. That's what you need to be fighting for. But right now, we got to go out and pay some more bills. So we're going to take this break, and we'll be right back.
Trump warned not to fire Mueller, Trump's transgender ban. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says President Trump has gone way too far with his criticism of Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Special Counsel Robert Mueller.
This is not just a diversion. This is unnerving.
Graham warns if Trump fires Sessions and then tries to fire Mueller without cause, it could be the beginning of the end to his presidency. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, meanwhile, tells the AP he'll continue to serve as long as President Trump wants him. Sessions, who's on a trip to El Salvador, acknowledges this hasn't been the best week in his relationship with Trump, but he says that they have a harmony of values and beliefs. The Pentagon says any change in the status of transgenders in the military will have to come from the Trump administration. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders.
The White House will work with the Department of Defense and all of the relevant parties to make sure that we fully implement this policy moving forward.
I'm Tim McGuire.
Napa know-how. Any car brave enough to withstand a decade's worth of multi-state family voyages is worth treating to some quality parts and Napa know-how. Coolant for the Death Valley trip, wiper blades for the Pacific Northwest, air fresheners for the Southwest chili cook-off. Yeah, with some quality parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep your road warrior running longer, stronger, for many more vacations to come. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts Sean L., Letty Love, and funny man Doug Million. Join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. With live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. The best talk show on the web is here. STMK Radio 100. Also call us at 1-866-484-STMK to stop the madness. Keep it 100.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
Hey, welcome back to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. I'm your host, Sean L. In the house, we have DJ Cash Money Mike from C-Town, the 4112, New Home ATL. Thanks, Cash Money Mike, for coming in, showing us, brothers, some love. And as I said, that we're going to need to get you to call in and let us know where you're playing at so we can show you some love and also put you out there. We are live on internet radio in the ATL. And our ATL family, we really appreciate it. Saxman also now is in the chat room. And also we'd like to thank Pastor A.J. Thompson for showing up in the chat room and Facebook Live for showing us some love. Pastor Thompson, we're going to need to get you back on the show also. You know, I want to go back to what we was talking about before the break, and that was America sending our kids back over into Afghanistan so a billionaire can steal their minerals, about a $3 billion worth, and then have the United States government pay his company to not only steal this stuff from the Afghan people, but to have his own soldiers go over there like Blackwater Security and watch the mining operation. Now, the Taliban, who we are over there fighting right now, has made a deal with China to come over there to help them stop the United States and Trump from stealing their minerals. So are we headed for World War III? Everybody needs to ask themselves that question, and everybody need to stop looking at the shiny object and start looking at what's going on. Healthcare, yes, is bad, but the problem is, and I'm going to say this as I said this on previous shows, that voting has responsibility and consequences. And when the Green Party and Bernie or Bus people voted third party and put Trump in office, you caused this shit. Okay, I'm not going to bite my tongue. You caused this shit, okay? You are the one who created Trump. You're the one who created all the hardship and pain for the people. So guess what? 2018, hashtag 2018, get out and vote. If you don't get out and vote, the craziness is not going to stop. You're going to lose your health care. You're going to lose your housing voucher. You're going to lose all the regulations on the land and chemicals being put in your food. It's on you, people. If you do not stand up for your rights and if you do not go out and vote, then you get what you get. In the chat room, everybody talking about a Bernie Bus person talking about police reform. I'm going to say this again. With Hillary, you had a place at the table, and police reform was going to take forth. Trump already told you where he stood. Okay? You didn't take him serious. You put him in office. You gave him the House. You gave him the Senate. Guess what? You get what you get for the next 4 years. It may be too late for the Republic. We may be in World War III fighting China over in Afghanistan. And if everybody doesn't realize, in Afghanistan, the Russians was over there trying to steal the minerals and trying to fight the Taliban, okay? And they ran the Russians out, okay? China's giving them weapons to fight American troops. Trump's getting ready to send more American kids over there. For what? There's nothing there for us. It's time for us to cut our losses and come home and stop fighting everybody else's war. Period. Protect the homeland. That's what we need to do. Well, people, I just want to say this. It's time. Mr. Smith, thank you for joining us. Pastor Thompson, we definitely need you back on. You're a veteran. And while you're in the chat room, you need to tell America, because I don't think anybody really knows about why Trump's going to expand Afghanistan operation. And I don't think everybody knows it's for private corporations right now and for billionaires and millionaires to make more money off the back of dying American kids. And I'm going to call it as I see it, dying American kids. And don't think for 1 minute that minority kids are going over to Afghanistan. No, they're not going over there, okay? So everybody better come to the table and think about what's about to take place. Well, people, I'd like to thank you all. Doug Million, get well. Saxman, thank you for joining us. L.A., law enforcement officers, thank you for joining us in the chat room. Michelle Jackson, Michael Wilkins, thank you for having your class with us out of L.A. and Sama, California, and for them doing our poll questions. We appreciate all the love for the 27th week in a row. Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. It's the best talk show on the web, and it's that time.
Fan base is big, I can't lose. Sugar bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the rainbow down the yellow brick road, but please believe at the end, ain't no pie to go, just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets. You ain't never
Facebook Live, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter. Hey, I appreciate you all coming into the chat room, showing this young brother some love. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm trying to help you. If you're doing something positive or you're doing something, you want some events coming up, drop me a line at STMK Radio 100 at AOL.com. If you want to appear on the show, give me a holler and let's set it up. Or you can do a phone interview. Next week, we're going to have some 57 mayoral candidates come into the studio for the city of Cleveland. We're going to talk some very serious issues with them as far as East Cleveland, the dump, taxes, police reform, rebuilding the neighborhoods, and what their vision is for Cleveland. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming in. I thank you for all the love that was shown. Facebook Live, you've been so nice and lovely to me. I appreciate it, brother. And as always, I'm your host, Sean L. Peace, love, and happiness.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK.